So today we're going to focus a little more on speaking as a skill, okay? So we have language acquisition, input versus output. Which one do you think is more important? We discussed this before, did we not? Yeah? So which one, how many of you think input is more important? How many of you think output is more important? How many of you think they are both equally important? Talk to your partner for 30 seconds. And then we'll ask for a show of hands. All right, very good. Ruben, what did you guys discuss?
I think output is a bit more important.
Okay, can we listen to, yeah.
Sorry, that shows that if a student can use what he learned, he can.
All right, so we need to see evidence that learning has taken place, and the output provides that evidence. Is that correct? Okay, very good. Somebody else, Vladimir, what did you guys discuss?
Well, I think both of them are important, but output is more important because if the student cannot produce whatever he's getting, then there is a problem. Maybe input was like with the wrong approach or something like that.
Okay, all right, very good. And let me see over here. I'm sorry, your name?
Numera.
Numera. Okay.
I think that both are important because if we come to the class with a topic which is not interesting, then there wouldn't be any good output. So we come in with something and then they do something. There is a result. Okay. All
right. Very good. So yes, it would be fair to say that both are very important for the learning process. First, because if the input is not engaging, motivating, then students will not learn. Yeah, it has to be the right kind of input. So not only interesting and engaging, but also at the right level, something that they can process. If we provide students with input that is excessively difficult or too easy, then we might have a problem. Second, we must encourage students to engage or provide output as much as possible at all times. So when you're teaching, make sure that is a main priority, okay, as you are carrying out your lesson. We need to hear the students speak. We don't need to hear you speak so much. You don't need to hear yourself speak. You know how you speak. You know what you can say. We need to hear the students speak, all right? So output is very important, because it is the evidence that learning is taking place, that the lesson was successful, the activity was successful, that students want to say something, that they're engaged, among other reasons. Okay? Now, does anybody recognize this gentleman? Krashen. Okay, Krashen. So Krashen refers to the research, and he says, according to the research, the data on the frequency of comprehensible output shows that learners don't talk all that much compared to how much they hear. And when they do talk, they do not often make the kind of adjustments in their output after monitoring themselves that are useful in acquiring new forms. Okay? So basically what he's saying is, let's not make a big deal out of output, because it's not that special. It doesn't, first of all, the students don't speak that much in the first place. And second, when they do speak, it's not the kind of speaking that will allow them to kind of modify, to adjust, to reformulate, so thereby contributing to the second language acquisition process. How many of you agree with that? Good. Okay. Listen, Krashen is a smart guy. He's been around for a long time. But you don't always have to agree with main figures in the field. I think the problem here is he hasn't seen what teachers can do with output, how they can get students to produce a lot of it at the right level in different courses and at different stages of their learning. Okay? So this is the disconnect that's always existed. I just came back from a conference in Brighton, England, and we were talking a lot about this stuff. Again, I mean, these are the eternal debates going back and forth on, you know, what's more important, the input and the output and how people learn and everything. And so, and also this notion of research and what research shows. Now, research is important. Research sheds light on how people learn, how people can learn better under certain circumstances and such. But sometimes we see a disconnect between the researchers and their studies and what really takes place in the classroom each and every day. Okay, sometimes they're not aligned. Okay, so research sounds great. You read the research papers, the studies are well put together, you see all these numbers, and they look really impressive, but in the end, you don't see a connection to what actually takes place in class. So I think the problem here is, okay, Krashen believes, okay, this is something that we can generalize. The quality of talking overall is not that good. Would you agree with that? In your classrooms, do your students speak?
Yes.
And they speak a lot, and they can speak a lot from the very beginning. It's up to the teacher to create the right environment, and it's up to the teacher to apply the techniques and the strategies that will help our students speak out more. Okay, we can do it. We can make it happen. Okay, so I'm not so sure we can agree with Crash. He's a smart guy, though. He's smart. He's got a lot of good ideas, but we don't always have to agree with him. Okay, all right. So again, I think the important thing here is that you realize you are in a position, you have the power to get our students to learn a lot every time they get together with you, and to produce a lot of quality output. You are the ones who are in control. You can help your students bring out their fullest potential. Is that clear? Yeah, okay. So if we want conditions for L2 output, certainly we need to get students motivated. They have to be motivated. Okay, so Numera, was it? Or, I'm sorry, your name again? Fernanda? Fernanda said before, and Numera too, I think. Numera?
No.
Numera?
No.
Numerna. Okay. I'll get it right, I'm sorry. Numerna. The notion of if the input is not engaging, if the input is not motivating, our students will not speak. So we have to make sure that it is relevant to them. That's really interesting, right? If you heard something that wasn't interesting, was boring, if you're watching something on TV, whatever, you wouldn't have that much of a opportunity to speak, all right? The curriculum has to be well designed. The activities, the courses, the course book materials, they have to be well designed. They have to create the right environment so that our students will be able to speak and take full advantage of the time they spend each and every day in the classroom. And of course, the instruction or the teaching. You guys, what you guys do has a direct impact on the quality of the output that we can get from our students. Speaking, we're talking about speaking today, but it's also writing. Okay, speaking and writing, they're equally important. All right, very good. So everybody remembers this, right? You have pictures of this all over your walls at home. Okay, so this is very important. We have the QLL Dynamics framework. Can somebody define kinesthetic? Actually, let's review it first. Let's say 60 seconds, get together with somebody or form a group, and again, give me a one sentence or a compound sentence definition for each one of these dynamics. Okay, I'll give you 60 seconds for that, a minute. All right, very good. Who would like to define? Let me see if I have any volunteers first. Any volunteers for kinesthetic dynamics? John.
Get them moving, get them engaged. Whether it's moving groups, whether it's up on the board, whether it's acting out a scene, get them moving.
A lot of physical activity, a lot of movement. Don't let them sit down for an hour and a half or 2 hours in the same place. Keep them moving around, dynamic. Also the level of interactions, right? Calling on a lot of people within a very short period of time. Very good. What about L2 output? Mornay? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely what they can kind of like deliver, what they can put out there. And if that way you can see that if your lesson was successful and they were able to grasp everything, and they can kind of produce the language. They can use it in a functional way.
Now he just gave me 3 sentences, not 1 sentence. That's because he has a lot to say. He's excited about the L2 output dynamics. Okay, good. L2 output, all right, very good. Power to L2 output. So this is, so we're getting students to say as much as possible, to write as much as possible, okay? Motivating dynamics, this is the toughest one. Any volunteers? Anybody want to take this one? Yes, Charles.
I describe motivating dynamics as creating an inviting atmosphere that makes students want to learn and learn more and grow as students.
That sounds pretty good. How many of you agree with that? Yeah? Okay. So it's a lot of strategies, a lot of things you can do. They go from telling jokes, all right? But if you're going to tell jokes, they got to be funny. They got to be funny. Okay, they got to be funny. So I've seen people tell bad jokes. That's why I don't tell jokes. I'm good at laughing at jokes, but I'm not good at telling jokes. So, okay. But also your decisions. Say, hey, put away the course book. Let's do something a little different. Yeah? Okay. And what about tech dynamics? Cindy?
Using technology in order to foster production, using technology in the right way, the right resources, like not only projecting, but making students interact with technology.
Okay, why is that so important in today's classrooms? We got the digital natives all over the place. Okay, we got all these cell phones and tablets and everything, and FaceTime and Instagram and Snapchat and everything, right? Good, 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 good. So this is something that should be guiding your lesson planning, okay? All right, and I think I have it up here twice. That's so it kind of black background, white background, so it sinks in, okay? All right, so motivation. Now, in terms of motivation, we talked about motivation as the first pillar, the first condition to get a lot of output to take place. Does the activity appeal to the general interest of your students? These are some of the questions we have to ask ourselves as we engage our students in the lesson. So before, as we're planning the lesson, and then as we are carrying out the lesson and we're watching our students to see how they respond, does the activity appeal to the general interest of your students? Do you present the activity in a positive, enthusiastic manner? Everybody here is positive and enthusiastic, correct? Yeah?
Of course.
Of course.
Sort of.
So, who said sort of? Nomena, was that you? That wasn't you? Yeah? Don't look at me. Hey, don't look at me. Okay. Are the students clearly aware of the purpose of this activity? Why am I doing this? Why the heck are we doing this thing? Okay? We need to know why. There has to be a purpose. We're just hey, let's just talk and do whatever for about 2 hours and see what happens. No, we have to have a clear sense of purpose. We carry out our activities for a reason. They're helping us develop certain skills and competencies, certain aspects of our interlanguage. So we have to make sure that everything we do has a purpose. So by the time we get to the end of the class, the student will say, well, yeah, I learned this today and that today. That's why we did this. And you go home and you understand that you've made some progress. Okay? Does the activity encourage students to discover for themselves certain rules and principles? What did we call that? Have we seen that before, where we have students figure out the rules by themselves?
Yes.
Where? Ronald?
When we demonstrate a grammatical thing and then have them relate it to their own lives, and sometimes they can say, oh yeah, that's like this. They seem to figure it out real quickly.
Inductively, okay. Teaching inductively, okay. Everybody was here 2 sessions ago, right? Remember, we saw this with grammar. You want students to figure out the rules, because in traditional grammar teaching, the teacher gives the rules, explains the rules. It's like a lecture. Lectures, are they exciting? No. Very boring, okay? So we want the students, again, to get them involved as much as possible in the lesson. Does the activity represent a reasonable challenge? Or is it too easy? Or is it too difficult? If it's too easy, what happens?
They turn off.
They turn off. Students get bored. Okay, whatever. Okay. Hi, how are you? Good morning. Good morning back to you. Okay? If it's too challenging, frustration. Yeah? Frustration. Do students receive sufficient feedback? Everybody gives feedback here, right? You give feedback to your students? Yeah? Yeah? You sure? Hamley, you give feedback to your students? All the time?
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, just don't forget, you give feedback to your students as they participate in class. You also have to talk to them during the course. Don't wait until the end of the course. That used to happen somewhere some time ago. I told teachers, don't wait till the end, because what did they do? They used to say, oh, you're doing great, fantastic, good job, okay. I'm sorry, look, it's not me, it's the numbers, you know. You failed. What do you mean I failed? You said I was great, I was wonderful, I was unbelievable, fantastic. Yeah, but listen, the numbers just didn't come out that way, you know? You're going to have to repeat the course. You never wait until the end of the course. You've got to give feedback constantly. And also, you give positive reinforcement. So positive reinforcement is when you say, hey, that was great, Christine. Great job with your intervention. I loved it. That was a great idea. I love the way you explained it. Let them get recognition. We all like recognition, right? When we do something right, we like recognition. We like somebody to tell us, hey, that was good. And then you feel great. Yeah, I'm going to try that again. Yeah? Okay, good. So these are questions we should ask ourselves prior to the lesson and while the lesson is being carried out. I should give due credit to H. Douglas Brown, H.D. Brown, a very famous figure in the field. He's retired now, University of San Francisco. All right, so how do we increase student talk time? Some elements that we need to keep in mind. Quality teacher talk time as opposed to excessive teacher talk time. We've talked about this before. So we have to maximize teacher-student. Now we have group work and pair work with the books. The books get the students to work in pairs and groups. It's almost automatic. You carry out the activity. They work in pairs and groups. But it's also important that you call on students one-to-one. Now remember we talked about the level of interactions, right? Fernando, give me an example. Good. Christine, give me another one. Okay, John back there, come on, give us another one. Charles, do you agree with Ronald? Keep this going, keep this going. So you gotta really learn how to call on students, as many as possible within a very short period of time. You call on the 25% this time, another 25% the next time, another 25 or 50-50, okay, depending on the size of the class. And by the time you're done in 2 hours, everybody's had an opportunity to participate several times. Yeah? All right. Wait time. You've heard that before, right? Have you heard that before? Wait time? Anybody know what that is? Charles, can you explain it to us? What is wait time?
So maybe it's the time when you're trying to elicit an answer from a student. So you ask maybe a question or something like that, or say this, and it's the time between when you say it and the time the student responds.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Typically, we don't wait long enough. We like to talk. Feel like, okay, you ask a question. Mornay, okay, where is Lille? Does that exist? Yeah, Lille, it does exist, yeah. And before he's opening his mouth, it's in France. Did you know it was in France? See? So I'm answering my own question because I can't wait. We have this tendency sometimes to want to talk all the time. Okay, so we have to, don't speak. Ask the question, let him speak. Give him some breathing space, 4 or 5 seconds. Let him come up with an idea. Think about the question, process the question, and now come out and say it. Okay? Question types. Sometimes we ask questions that are too difficult. Sometimes we ask questions that are too easy. Did I tell you a story about the guy, the questionnaire? I think I did, yeah. Questionnaire about life, the meaning of life? Yeah, I mean, who can answer a question like that? I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy. So we have to make sure as we're planning our lessons, you know, sometimes we have pre-reading questions. They come in the book. Sometimes we come up with our own. So we have to say, can my students respond to this? Can I come up with a better question? Make sure that this question really sinks in, that all of my students are in a position to respond to this question. So we have to think about the questions we're going to ask, not only in direct relation to specific stages of an activity, but also to have these discussions, okay, in general. All right, so question types are important. Prep time. Have you noticed I tell you guys, think for 30 seconds, we'll talk together for, okay, sometimes we need time to prepare an answer. Some questions that cannot be responded to immediately. We need some time to think, okay, well, let me get ready for this question or the task. So we need to give students time to prepare. So prepping time or thinking time, pair work and group work, again, making sure that students interact with each other as much as possible, switching partners, and of course, expectations, making sure that students know our expectations. For example, do I believe in volunteers? What do you think? You're saying no. Why, Cindy?
Oh, no, I don't know.
No, but you're right, I don't. Why don't I believe in volunteers?
Students need to produce spontaneously.
Okay.
So you need to encourage students, like speaking at any time without repeating the same student. Because if you volunteer, it's probably the same students who's always volunteering.
Right. So I have to be able to choose. Listen, if I get volunteers, wonderful. If everybody's like, yeah, me, hey, no, stop, I'm going next. That's fantastic, great. But if you don't get volunteers, what do you do? Oh, No volunteer? Oh. Okay. Maybe next time? Yeah? No, you gotta, okay, listen. Okay, no volunteers? Okay, Mornay, give me an answer. Come on, let's go. All right, James, give me an answer. All right, Hamley, give me an answer. Vladimir, give me an answer. Nomena, give me an answer, okay? I'm not gonna wait. I'm gonna call on you at any time. You gotta be ready. You know that in Leo's class, Fernanda's class, Mornay's class, Ronald's class, everybody's class is here. I can call on you at any time. You better be ready, okay? I'm not gonna say, oh, no, okay, all right. Maybe next time, okay? Maybe? Yes?
You know who I call on the most? The students who aren't paying attention, because I want to put them on the spot. Because they're using their cell phone kind of under the book, or they're talking to their friend, and that's the guy I want to make a point of, so that the rest of them, very indirectly, get the idea that you got to pay attention.
How does that work for you?
They don't like to be embarrassed in front of their friends, and then some other friends have to help. Oh, we're on page 25 and you're on page 20, and so they because Peru is such community-oriented, group-oriented, they like to help each other a lot, and so they don't seem to mind it like Americans would, but at the same time that makes them feel a little bit uncomfortable that they didn't know the answer. So does it penalize their grade? No. It just helps to get everybody focused on the same page and not goof around.
But if they do a good job, you're going to give them some positive reinforcement. You say, hey, that was great, Javier. That was a nice answer. Okay, I'm looking forward to your next participation, okay? He's like, hey, what the heck was that? But I was, well, I guess I did pretty good. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, okay. Yeah, me, next time. So this is, we need to understand our students, how they think, how they respond to what we say and what we do in class. You'll be able to figure out. The disruptive students, usually with teenagers, right? The teenagers, we need to try to understand how they think. Sometimes we need certain strategies like that one, for example, some students were a little more difficult. But in general, teenagers also, they're trying to find themselves, remember? I mean, we were trying to find ourselves too back then. When we were 15, 16, 17, who am I? Right, so we were a little rebellious, maybe, you know, we had our own way of thinking and acting. But if we show we understand who you are and we respect you as a person, right, and at the same time, you are likable and charismatic, you got to be likable. I mean, if you're a teacher, you need to be a likable person. You got to be nice. You got to be cool. I don't know if they still say cool. I don't know. I used to say cool in my day. Cool or whatever, okay? You got to be likable and you got to be pretty cool. Hey, he knows about, Bruno Mars. Okay. Now, he can't dance like Bruno Mars, but he knows the songs, right? So we need to do our homework and we need to kind of get into their minds and figure out what they like and what they don't like. All right. Let's do an activity based on the QLL Dynamics framework. Let's try to get our students to speak as much as possible. I'd like you to work with a partner, okay? Or work in a group, and I'll give you about 5 minutes. Boom! I mean, you guys are super smart. I'd like you to kind of devise an activity, create an activity. And Charles, maybe you can sit over here with our friends Mornay and Ronald. And create an activity very briefly, just outline it, 4 or 5 points. How would you get students to speak? Pair, group, and one-to-one. Describe the activity to us. The topic, the steps. How would you get the students to speak? Pairs or groups or both, and one-to-one. Keep the triangle in mind. All right, I'm going to call on, let's see, we have 6 groups. Charles, come on up and tell us about your group's activity.
Okay. Wait, which one?
Right here up front. Your protagonist.
Yeah. Protagonist.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, so we kind of talked as a group, and I was actually thinking about an activity that I've been doing and just kind of repeatedly going through in the Advanced 9 level, and I thought it's something that you can reuse if you lower the expectations of what you're doing. And the speaking activity basically revolves around having 2 pictures of relatively related things. So you might have a woman doing a driving test and the guy's like speaking to her, or she just finished it and he's shaking her hand. And then a guy in an Indy 500 car. And then you compare the two photos, what's going on. So the one person's comparing the photos, and then the other person reacts and talks about which event maybe is more important to that person in that moment. I don't know, just something like that. So they talk about the two photos in different ways, but they're kind of having a conversation about it. So 1 minute for one person, 30 seconds in a response with a different flair, and then you just flip. And so you have both people speaking, and there's a bit, and then you can kind of lead into it, I guess, depending on whatever you're practicing. So if you're doing prepositions, emphasize a little bit of that. Oh, talk about how she's inside the car, and he's whatever. Anyway, any list of prepositions or vocabulary or grammar points.
Is that for a specific level, or can that be applied to any level? What do you guys think?
I think
Any level, what you just change is the picture and the questions, right, or the task. Very good. Thank you, Charles. Fernanda, come on up. Your turn. Yeah, I should sit down again.
So we were talking about they have to have like a topic that's interesting to them, they want to talk about, and he was telling us about this video that is what happens to your body during a breakup. So it's like a video where they where they tell you like some stuff that happens to your body, right? Like physically or whatever. And after they watch this video, you can have students like discuss with each other. Of course, like I mean, almost everybody's been through a breakup, right? So they can talk about it, like what happens to you, what do you do? Like I cry, I go out to parties or whatever, you know. And after that, you can have like a group activity where you have this person. First, you talked about yourself, right? So now you have this like imaginary person, and you're gonna like create their breakup story, you know. So you start the story like the teacher, like eliciting some sentences or whatever, like this is Pepito and he's going through a breakup. He's really sad, so he's crying a lot, you know. And then everybody, like each person in the class, like starts following that story, and they go like, I don't know, he's not going out with his friends because he's really sad, and then he's, I don't know, he's drinking a lot of beer or whatever, you know, like like creating a story while using, well, in this case, first it's like a comparison between the simple present and the present continuous. I mean, we did it with that, and yeah, they practice, you know.
Triangle. How many of the dynamics are present in that activity?
Kinesthetic.
Kinesthetic. Why? How do you know, Nicholas?
Well, since they are going to participate.
But first, how does she have them arranged?
Oh.
Okay, that's okay. Okay. Pairs, and then how does she change? How do they change the arrangement? What do they go to?
The whole class.
The whole class or groups. Okay. Okay. So we have kinesthetics. What else do we have? Technology. Okay. Good. Good. What else do we have? Motivational. Motivational. How is it motivational? I mean, the topic, come on, guys. I mean, the topic of a break. Don't tell me you never broke up with somebody. Come on now. Breakup. That's demotivation. It's, well, it depends. Well, is that included in demotivational dynamics? I don't know, right? Everybody wants to talk about love, you know, the love thing and everything, okay? And what's missing? L2 output. Do we have L2 output?
Yeah.
Yes. Very good. Thank you very much. Let's see. Well, yeah, Vladimir, come on up. Yeah, come on up.
Alright, so
All right, here we go. Keep the triangle in mind, all right? Keep the triangle in mind, yeah.
okay, so with my group we decided to design an activity where the students are going to debate. Okay, they're gonna talk about a specific topic. For example, like going to the moon, and they'll have 10 items to go from point A to point B, and they need to have like just 5 items to survive. Okay, so they need to have a debate between them what items they're gonna choose to get from point A to point B to survive. Okay, so there is a motivation part that they need to survive in the end of the activity. Then there is the technology. Probably we can show them a video before that, maybe like a space station or maybe some images like the PowerPoint presentation. Then the L2 output, because they're going to be keep on talking to each other, having debate, right? And well, what else?
Well, we've got 3 of 4. That's pretty good, right? For 3 out of 4 is pretty good. Yeah. All right. Very good, Vladimir. Thank you very much. All right. Excellent. Christine, come on up.
Okay, so our topic was tourist attractions in Lima because we wanted to personalize it a little bit, and we went with the 4 corners strategy. By dividing the 4 groups, we could already use a game or something like that, like the youngest, the oldest, I don't know, groups got together so they speak already. And then we have 4 topics like archaeological sites, nightlife, I don't know, and they prepare themselves the questions. So they produce something, they can use their smartphone, look it up, look up some pictures, and then they tell their questions and the other students have to move like what they think is the answer, yes, no, then they can debate about it and change their corners. So that's our game.
How many dynamics? Alberto. Give us one. How kinesthetic? Explain kinesthetic.
If they're chatting, if they're talking to each other, I guess. I mean, I really know. So they're using several topics, right?
Yes, and they have 4 corners. Then somebody asks questions, and you go to yes corner, no corner.
Of course, if they're
you
moving
change
around,
the
then
corner.
they have kinesthetic.
Good. That's what you were about to say, and then Christine interrupted you. Okay. All right. All right. James, another dynamic?
You want me to show the one I had?
No, but I mean for her presentation. Yeah, yeah.
Well, besides the kinesthetic, she's creating this L2 output by getting them to discuss the answer and move to the corner that they feel is the right answer.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Charles?
Was to use tech too with the part with the smartphones. That's kind of an ingenious way to use the phones as a part of the class instead of as a distraction. So then.
Good, good. Thank you, Christine. Thank you very much. Good. That should be automatic. James, come on up.
Okay, I'll show you the one I did already.
He's got a product already. Look, he's got a 3D printer over there. Look at that. Okay. Okay.
Well, it's not exactly a 3D printer, but it's a color printer.
There we go. Color printer.
So here's my colors. Here's my output. I decided that since I have teenagers that in one intermediate 8, but also have basic 2 with adults, that everybody could relate to comic books. And I grew up with them. I'm sure most of you guys did as well. So I had to think of something that I thought was appropriate to all age groups and all speaking levels. So I went online and I thought I have to admit that I did not ask for copyright permission to print this. So
Nobody's going to say anything, right? You guys aren't going to say anything? He's our friend, so please don't tell on him. All right.
My disclaimer. So I finally found this little dialogue between Archie and his new girlfriend. And this was actually very controversial when it came out because it's one of the first interracial characters that Archie was identified with. In that time, it was a more conservative society. But anyway, it fits Peru because of, we don't have the same history. So I downloaded and I electronically erased their conversations and printed it out. And it has name, partner, it's part of the writing quiz and the date, so I can see who's doing it. So basically, they work in pairs because they have a partner. And the guys working with guys were the most embarrassed because they didn't want to take the girls' part. But sometimes you didn't have an even number of guys and girls, so it just worked out that way. But they worked on it. I explained to them, okay, look, if you're a writer for a TV program or a movie, you've got to write what the other person is saying, the opposite sex sometimes. If you're a guy, you might write a girl's line. If you're a woman, you might write the guy's lines. So don't worry about the fact that you're speaking on behalf of another sex. And so they kind of calmed down a little bit. But it got them really interesting. It got them kind of giggly a little bit, especially when they were speaking the lines. And So they debated first amongst themselves. They wrote on another page what the dialogues would be, because it might not fit in here. I went around and helped them correct their grammar. If they want to use the internet to look up a new word, like here she's eating too much pizza and she's burping, which is part of the humorous part of it, then they might not know the word burp, so they might have to look that up on their cell phones. Then after I helped them with their corrections all the way around the room, then it's time to stand up, go to the front, and give your little presentation to the group. So they, and I did this with Basic 2. Tonight I'm going to do it with Intermediate 8. And
okay.
That's it.
Triangle, which dynamics are present here? Motivational how? Can somebody explain?
Because they are going.
Fernanda.
Because I mean, they have graphics. It's something that it's a fun activity. They have to.
Okay, and it's new. We don't normally work with comics. Very nice. Okay, Cindy, tell us another dynamic.
Kinesthetic. So they are going to first have the lesson develops different interaction patterns. First, they have to think individually about a controversial issue of having this kind of relationships, and then in pairs, because they are going to create a kind of a story comic, and finally they are going to start up and act it out.
Okay.
So
okay.
interaction patterns.
Okay. Very good. Hamley.
Technology, print page.
Oh.
It's a print.
Okay, all right. Oh, he can show it on the screen. Yeah? Okay, all right. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Applause. All right. Very good. So, a lot of great ideas. A lot of great ideas. We have to get accustomed to thinking about how we can get our students to speak as much as possible while having fun in a different way, a lot of variety. Variety is good. We shouldn't try to do the same thing all the time. Even with the course book activities, we can add a little extra flavor there so they're more interesting, okay? Not just simply follow the game plan as proposed in the course book. All right, so teaching steps, the topic should be interesting, there should be visual support, maximize participation, time the activity so you keep track of time. Remember, time is a big issue with teachers. There should be a goal. Now, controversy is welcome, but you got to be a little careful about the controversial topic that you might bring up. And course book activities are good, but enhance them and create your own as well to complement the learning experience, okay? All right. So, I'd like you to look at your handout, and we're going to carry out an activity. Now, you're going to have 2 minutes to think about it. I'd like you to look at the 6 pictures. Hi, Isa. Look at the 6 pictures. And in your mind, I'm going to give you exactly 2 minutes. I'd like you to think about a story that might reflect what you see in the pictures. So you have a total of 6 pictures. Come up with a story that depicts or that is in relation to what is being depicted in the pictures. Okay? You're going to do that individually first. You're not going to talk to anybody yet. Okay? So I'm going to give you exactly 2 minutes to think about a story. The first thing that comes to your mind. It doesn't have to be a Hollywood screenplay. Yeah?
Do we have to follow such order? Or
No, not at all. Okay? And then I'll tell you what to do next. So here we go. The 2 minutes have just begun. Now what I want you to do, I want you to work in groups of 3. One of you is A, the other person is B, the third person is C. Please decide who is A. A will be going first. Okay? A, B, and C. A will be going first. Obviously, B will go next. Okay, does everybody have A, B, C? A, B, C, D. Okay. All right, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to say go. A will tell his story first. When I say stop, it will be B's turn, and so on until everybody has a chance to tell a story. Okay? All right? All right, here we go. Ready? A, are you ready?
Okay.
Ready will begin when I say go. When I say go, you have to tell your story. You will have 60 seconds to tell your story. No, only one person speaks at a time. The other 2 listen. A speaks, B and C listen. Go. Now, I'm going to call on different people. I'm going to call on different people to tell a story they heard, not your own. Hernan, right?
Yeah.
Hernan, tell us one of the stories that you heard from one of your partners.
So, it was a couple, and the couple was very happy with the relationship, and what else? I didn't really count.
Now remember, you got to remind your students to pay close attention. Now I didn't do that. I should have warned you, pay close, but I would assume that you would be paying attention to your partners anyway. Now for next time, Hernan.
Yeah.
Charles, tell us a story from one of your partners.
Okay. So a man came out of the woods. He used to live in the woods. He escaped the woods and traveled very far, and saw a woman in a that was in a motorcycle accident, and he rescued her. She wasn't gravely injured, but she was in an accident. He rescued her, she went to the hospital, but it cost her a lot of money to do that. But in the end, they lived happily ever after and went to a concert.
Very good, very good. Okay. Over here in the back in the middle, your name, sir?
I'm Martin.
Martin, could you tell us your story, please? Story from one of your partners, excuse me. Yeah.
Yes. The guy won in the lottery and had a lot of money. He was thinking about what he's doing. He traveled the world and made a lot of parties. In the end, he had an accident and lost all his money, but he found a special one and
Hey, nice, huh? He had an accident, but he found love in the end. Okay, Hamley, thank you, very good.
Okay, this is Charles' story. The man is the lead singer in that concert. Yeah, he's looking for the place. He doesn't know the place, so he's looking for it using the map. So he found the place is that field there. He played with the band. Everybody there in the concert drank a lot. So many car accidents happened there. It doesn't matter. The man got his money for singing in that concert, so his wife was very happy.
Hey, very nice, very nice. Okay, good job, everybody. Good job, good job. A lot of cohesion and a lot of coherence. Very good, very good. Nice. Was that difficult? No, not at all, right? So we got everybody to participate. So if we look at the triangle, what do we got? What are we looking at? L2 output. Tech, okay. Motivational, because you got to rush to come up with a story, and then you got to tell your partners a story, okay? Maybe not kinesthetics unless I have you move around and switch, although the level of interactions could be associated with kinesthetics. Very good. Okay. This is something a little related to what Charles mentioned before. This is called describe, compare, and choose. Now this is something very similar to what you'll see, for example, on the Cambridge Proficiency Examination. Yeah? So for example, here, what you have to do is you have to pick two pictures. Okay? So here, what are we seeing here? What is the general, what are people doing in all three pictures?
Interviewing.
Talking, but more specifically, when somebody goes, explaining. Okay? So there are three situations where they are explaining. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you choose two of the pictures and describe what the people there are explaining. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to ask, or in other words, we're going to switch it around a little bit, because normally in an international test, the tester or the rater asks the question to the other person. So once you're done explaining what's taking place in the pictures, then you're going to ask your partner, which situation do you think is more complex or more difficult or more demanding to explain, and why? Okay, does that make sense? All right, so for example, I might choose this picture. What do we see in this picture? What could this be? It could be a job. Okay, a workplace. What's going on here? Okay, it could be a job interview, or it could be a manager talking to an employee. Yeah? What do we see here? Presentation. Doctor's office. Okay? All right. So I want you to work in pairs. So find somebody to work with. I think we have enough people for pairs. 2, 4, 6, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Almost. Okay, I'll work with somebody. I'll work with you, Nicholas. Everybody else find somebody to work with. Okay? All right. So we're going to begin within a limited time. So choose A. Somebody has to be A. All right. So A will describe 2 pictures of your choice. What's going on? What kind of explanations are taking place? Okay? All right. And then when you're done explaining, you're going to ask your partner, which of the 2 do you think is more difficult or more demanding? Okay? Okay? Get ready. You want to be A? You go first and then I go?
Maybe his apartment side.
Now we're going to switch. Now B chooses 2 pictures. You're going to choose the picture that wasn't chosen by A plus another picture. Again, you're going to describe what kind of explanations are taking place in your 2 pictures, and then you're going to go and ask your partner, well, which one do you think is more difficult and more demanding? Okay? B, get ready? Go. Okay. In the 3rd picture, there's a doctor who's meeting with his patient. He's feeling really good because the diagnosis came out, the test came out negative. Which of the, if we look at the dynamics, which of the dynamics are we addressing here? L2 output, motivational, kinesthetic, tech, everything. Okay, good. Now, how are we promoting L2 output, for example? Which this is a speaking activity. So how are we promoting it? We're making him explain, and we're also kind of making up a story also. Like, for example, what did somebody come up with for Isa? What did you come up with this? Did you choose this picture? Yes. Yeah. What was the situation here in your case?
Well, in my mind, I see it as a conference room, and there's 2 business people talking about a plan or something they have to work together. So that's what I saw, like a meeting room and 2 people interacting in front, representing their offices to come up with a business plan.
Okay, in my case, he was letting an employee go. He had to explain the reasons why the employee was being fired. And so obviously that's a slightly different situation from Isa's. But you see how we can come up with different stories. What is the person explaining? In that?
Also had something similar. He said, but he was, instead of firing, he was hiring.
Promoting. Oh, hiring. Okay, good, good, good. All right, very nice. And anybody choose this picture? Yeah, Hamley, tell us, what did you...
The old man's receiving the news, he doesn't need to take Viagra anymore.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. In my case, what I told Nicholas, I said, here, there was some concern that the gentleman probably had a serious illness, but the results just came back and they were all negative. So he was smiling, he felt really good, and he was happy to give the patient the good news, okay? So obviously I have to ask Nicholas, which situation do you think is more complex and more demanding? Which one would you think, in my case, if I told you both stories, which one would be more difficult? Okay, letting somebody go, and you have to explain why. Okay, so does everybody see how that encourages people to talk, to kind of bring out a lot of language output, and also kind of encourage higher order thinking, okay? Because you have to kind of put these things together, and it's a higher level of thinking where you have to explain which one is harder. You're comparing, you're choosing, and you're comparing, and you're describing what you see in the situation. Was this hard? Not at all. What levels does this apply to? Basically all levels. The amount of language you would expect you would have to clarify from the beginning. If it's a very low, basic, obviously they're going to have limited language. There's only so much they can say. But technically you can apply this to any level as well. And it's not difficult to apply. Okay? Good. Time, pair, share. We've done this before. Let's review it again. How many of you use time, pair, share in your classes? Okay, so we have to practice. Ronald does. Yeah, Fernanda? Okay. All right, so take a look at the 4 pictures here. What do we see in the first picture? A police officer. A cop. Yeah, a cop, but police officer. What do we see in the second picture?
Teacher, businesswoman.
Yeah, who's the business?
A businesswoman, a high-level executive manager. Okay, very good. What about over here? A doctor. And over here? A chef. We want to be very, very specific. A pastry chef. Okay, all right, very good. Now, I'd like you to think quietly for 30 seconds. If you weren't English teachers, which of these occupations would you like to have? Okay, which one would you be? Would you be a police officer? Would you be a high-level executive business manager? Would you like to be a doctor, or would you like to be a chef? Think about one. Choose one of the four and think of why. Explain why you would like to be whatever it is that you choose. Okay. Now you have to get ready. Find a partner. Find a partner, and we're going to do the A-B thing again. Okay, find a partner. Choose who's going to be A, who's going to be B. Okay. Okay. Namena, you're going to work with Nicholas, I'll work with Javier. Okay, Javier, you want to be A or B? A. Okay. So when I say go, A will go. You have a limited amount of time to speak, so make sure you say as much as you can. Don't stop talking, or you sing and dance up front for us. Okay? Ready? Go.
Making something out of the ordinary, which is because this is.
Okay. Stop. B. Go. I think I'd try being a police officer because I feel strongly about limiting crime and contributing to helping people feel safe. Okay, stop. Mornay, tell us about Charles's choice.
So Charles said that he would be a cop or a police officer because it's every day it's something new. Every day is a different thing, different challenges. So it won't be too kind of boring. Okay. Challenges every day. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Okay. Why don't you ask Sebastian the same question?
Sebastian, what did your partner choose?
Okay, so Henry talked about being a chef because in his spare time he likes to cook desserts. He would find here in Peru, he says that everything you cook you can sell because we love eating. So he would sell cakes, different cakes for birthdays, or maybe his specialty to set is like souffle. So he would make that.
Okay. Isa.
Isa, could you tell me your James, right?
No.
Charles.
Yeah. He would also want to be a pastry one. He says he's a good cook. He says that he also worked for a restaurant for some time, and he would like that. He likes to cook. He likes to do that kind of thing. He also mentioned why he wouldn't want to be a police officer and why he wouldn't want to be other careers. For example, the police officer says he has doesn't want to be a figure of authority. He's not very comfortable with that kind of attitude with that. About the doctor, also he doesn't have. He says he's not a very scientific person. And well, he got cut off with the last one. So
Okay. Okay.
that's about it.
Cindy.
Hi. What did your partner say?
My partner would like to be a cop too, because he said that he would like to care for others and make people's rights be respected. So he would always be fighting against crime and this kind of corrupt situations. So basically, he explained why he's always wanted to be like a cop.
Okay. Nomena.
What did your partner say about it?
Okay, he said that if he weren't a teacher, he would become a doctor. Why? Because he himself has some disease. He's suffering from asthma, and there is not a real cure for it. So he thinks that if he were a doctor, he would do some research to try to find the solution, the real medicine for us.
Okay, was that difficult? Did that take long? How many people did I call? Did I call on, well, almost every group, yeah? What did I ask you to do first? Think about what you would choose, okay? What did I ask you to do next after everybody had a chance to share what they chose? Report on what your partner said. So again, it's not enough just to have the students speak themselves. You want them to get accustomed to listen. Because remember, speaking is also listening, right? If you're not a good listener, you're going to have a hard time speaking effectively. It's speaking and listening. The modern definition of fluency takes both into account, speaking and listening. Two people or more people interacting with each other, keeping the conversation going. Yes? You're Martin, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can the students write the information down with the partner, or is it better only listen to get it in the mind?
It depends on the nature of the task. Some tasks might encourage the students to take some notes. It depends on what they're going to do. That is fine. The notes might help them kind of put together what they're going to say, especially if they're lower level students and they need a little help. Or you might let the students do it, those who wish to do it, like the weaker students who are a little, they need a little push or a little help. They might be able to take some notes in general. The others don't have to. So you make it optional. Okay? Yeah? All right, good. So round robin we kind of did already. We did the round robin with, so what is round robin? Does anybody know?
Around before the end.
Around before the end. Did you guys work in a group before? Yeah, a couple of times. What did I have you do? Yes, Alberto.
First, which activity? The previous one?
Yeah, the first one. The first one was actually an example of round robin.
So the very first one, which one?
Okay, I think we need to reinforce it. You'll get the picture right away. Let's go back. Okay. All right, if you didn't have to worry about the language, so if you don't know French, that's okay, all right? You don't have to worry about French. Somehow everybody will understand you, okay? So if you didn't have to worry about the language, like Portuguese, like I always have a hard time with Portuguese. For some strange reason, they say that people who can speak Spanish should have an easy time figuring out Portuguese. That is not always the case, at least not with me. I still can't learn Portuguese. I have a hard time, so I struggle, make myself understood. I mix a little Spanish and Italian and a little French. I said seulement, and this is solamente or something, whatever. Okay? I said due bambini, I think I said once, and you're supposed to say dois crianças, yeah? Whatever. Okay, I'm like, okay, I'm throwing in bambini and seulement and all this stuff, and I think I threw in some German in there sometime, but I said, and English, of course. And they don't speak English in Brazil, not that much. I mean, they do. Their English teachers are very good, but on the street, for some reason, they don't want to speak English. So, anyway, where is this? New York City, Rio de Janeiro, Paris, China, London. Okay. Now, if you could pick any of these places to move to, forget about how expensive it is and what the language. London's pretty expensive. I just got back from there again. All right, so which one would you choose and why? You have to give several reasons. You have to come up with 4 reasons. I'm going to give you 45 seconds. Think. Choose one country. Don't say anything. Choose one country. Now, you got all the money in the world now. You can move anywhere you want. Where would you move? Okay? I know there are other great cities, but, well, this is for the activity. What am I going to tell you? Okay, think. Now you need 4 reasons. Not just one reason, 4 reasons. Think. Okay, which place would you move to? Why would you move there? Give me several reasons. Okay. Okay, now this is what we're going to do. You're going to work together in groups of 3 in the back there, okay, with Hamley and Vladimir, Sebastian and George. You're going to work as a group of 4. Okay, I want you to choose A, B, C. In your group, you're going to have D. Now, A is going to have an extra task because we want to help our guys over there in the back. You're going to have a first choice and you're going to have a second choice, okay? You're not going to talk about your second choice yet. You're going to talk about your second choice when I do the 4th go, okay? All right. So when I say go, A will begin. You're going to explain which country you chose and why. You have to give 4 reasons. Again, if you stop talking, we start dancing. Excuse me, you'll start dancing. You'll start singing, okay? Are you ready? Who's A? You have to choose who's A, who's B, who's C, and in the back, who's D?
A, B, C, D.
Okay. A, get ready. You can't stop talking. If I see you, you stop, you're in trouble. You go to the corner. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Vladimir, tell us, any one of your partners, what city did they, or what country did they choose, and why do they want to go there?
Well, Sebastian said that he would like to go to Rio, to Brazil, because Brazilians, they have a lot of festivities, right? And you will have fun there. And there is like soccer players. There are some soccer players that are coming out from Brazil, like Neymar, and also there are a lot of martial arts. 2 martial arts, like jiu-jitsu.
The Gracie brothers. Yeah.
And yeah, that's the reason he wants to be.
Okay, all right. Very good, very good. Charles, tell us about one of your,
Okay, I'll talk about him. So he picked London because he did New York City, so that was, I didn't want to talk about New York City twice. So London, or more so I guess it felt more like the UK in general, but London specifically because he said he couldn't get enough of it when he was there. And he also has family in Wales, never got to visit Wales. His family history goes back there. So he wanted to visit more there. He said that there were also some interesting teaching styles that he witnessed, and I think he wanted to observe that more. So things of that nature. And then also, I mean, it being an English-speaking country is probably a benefit, but also it's very close to France. It's very close to the rest of Europe, really, in general. So you could travel there and then still return to his, what I assume is your favorite place in Europe right now. Yeah. So yeah, it's a nice little pivot point.
Yeah, the only thing about London, I mean, I love London, don't get me wrong, but you got to be a really good driver in London because they got these lanes. If you're not used to the way they got the lanes over there, man, I mean, I've driven in Birmingham and Brighton, they're okay, all right, but London, woo, you better be careful. If you're driving, you got to be a good driver. Christine?
Ruben also would like to go to London because he's interested in the history of the country and also in the culture. He thinks there are good working possibilities and there's a lot of entertainment. He's not going to be bored.
All right, very nice, very nice. Good job. And we could continue. We could continue, but does everybody see round robin? What's the main characteristic of a round robin setup? Full participation. We're working in groups. Everybody speaks the same amount. You stop, you continue with the next student. So everybody speaks the same amount of time. In this particular case, a little over 2 minutes. What percentage of your class got to speak? 100%. 100% of your class, okay? And as usual, we ask to report. Now before, I used a technique where I was like saying, okay, could you, right, George? So Ronald, I pointed Ronald, I said, George, because you guys, some of you guys don't know each other yet. George and Ronald knew he had to ask George, well, could you tell us about your partner? What was that when I was going back and forth? And Isa, so Sebastian to Isa, Isa to Cindy, Cindy to Nomena, I think it was Nomena, right? In your case, and then Nomena to Ronald, Ronald to George. What was that? What's that technique? There are 2 S's. Student to student questions. Because normally the teacher calls on students, right? But now I back away. I let you guys take over. Okay? All right, so you guys ask each other the questions. Now when you train your students, you train them on the different kinds of questions they can ask each other. Okay? Was that difficult? Very easy. Okay. We're going to do 4 corners. Christine mentioned 4 corners before. She was adapting 4 corners to ecological sensitivity, which is good. I think we need more of that. Here it's a little simpler. We're talking about restaurants. You don't have it? That's okay. No problem. You don't need it. I'll describe it to you anyway. How many of you like to eat?
No.
You hate food, huh? All right, so we all go to restaurants for different reasons. We have our favorite restaurants. And sometimes, you know, we look at different features and we look at different reasons why we go to a restaurant or we want to go back to a restaurant. So I'd like you to think quietly for about 15 seconds. What is the main reason you go back? Which one of these is the main reason you go back to a restaurant? Yeah? Prices? The ambiance, the environment, the decor, the food itself, or the service? Okay? Make a choice. Think about why. Why would you do that? Why would you pick one of these? Okay? All right. Does everybody have a choice? You made a choice? Okay. If you think prices are the main reason to go back to a restaurant, go to that corner. Unfortunately, the restroom door is open, but go to that corner over there. If you think the decor, the ambiance, you know, the overall environment, you know, is the best reason, the most important reason to go to a restaurant, stand up and go to that corner. Okay? If you think food, the quality, the taste, the flavor is the main reason, go right there. And if you think it's the service, come right here. Just make sure you guys are separated.
I'll be kind of close to service. You just need me to argue for him.
So everybody there is food? There's no nobody's for service? That's the first time.
We're used to it.
All right, talk to each other and explain why you chose food. Explain why you chose ambiance. Okay? Talk to each other.
Hey.
All right, find somebody else to talk to. Switch. Talk to somebody else in the same group. In the same group. Move around. Oh, here you guys are not such a big group. It's okay. Okay, stop. Sit down. I know who chose food and I know who chose ambiance. So get ready. Now you heard all kinds of reasons. Yeah? I'm going to call people up from each group. I want you to give a reason why you chose it. It has to be rock solid in one single sentence. Okay? A single sentence. Clear. If there's any repetition, your group loses. And we're going to keep on doing that until somebody repeats. Okay? All right, ready? Ronald, come up and explain. Give us a reason why food is the most important factor of them all.
Well, I think if you go to a restaurant and it doesn't have good food, you're unlikely ever to go back. But if it has these other things, if it has high prices or it has an ambiance that's kind of off, if it has super good food, you might go anyway. And service, well, you don't want bad service, certainly, but I think the number one thing in a restaurant would be the food.
Thank you, Ronald. How many agree with that? 100%. Clap your hands if you agree with what Ronald just said. Okay, that's okay. No problem, no problem. What was it? The ambiance. Ambiance, people, don't get discouraged. Cindy, get up there and tell us, give us a reason why ambiance is the most important factor.
Reporting to my...
Everybody, give us a solid reason.
All right.
Forget about food. Come on, food. Come on. Why is ambience better than food? Is more important than food?
Yes, it makes us feel like our cuisine and most of our food is like really great really good in Peru. So whatever place we go, most of the places are gonna offer like great foods, great meals. So, but not all the places like have this great environment, which makes you change your attitude, makes you feel so comfortable, and it could also inspire you, because even though the food, let's say, imagine it's not such good, then you could just order a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, or I don't know, your favorite drink, and start doing your work, reading, getting inspired on how to do something. So I think environment really affects a lot of how we feel and what we do in life.
Okay. How many of you agree with that? All right. Very good. Hernan, I think you chose food, right? Hernan, you chose food?
Yeah.
Yeah, get up there and give us a reason. It has to be different from Ronald's. It can't be the same reason.
So I think food is most important thing, because if you go out to a restaurant, you want to eat something good, and other ways I can also stay at home and cook something, but I really want to enjoy the food in Peru, for example, and that's why this is the reason, because I really want to enjoy the food in Peru, and otherwise I will stay just at home.
How is that more important than ambience?
Ambience is not important for me, because I don't need like a good environment. I don't want to look the beauty of the restaurant, but I just want to eat. I just want to enjoy good food.
So you can't find good food at home? Is that it?
At home?
Yeah. That's the premise, I guess, right? You can't find good food at home. I got to go out to a restaurant.
Yeah.
That's the main reason. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I had to make sure, because he was about to fall into a trap. Okay, all right, Hernan. All right, very good. Who else chose ambience? Was that you, Fernanda? Yeah. Oh, you rose your hand. Okay.
Well,
Nicholas.
In the case, if you want to enjoy a very special moment, food is not the only thing to consideration, because, for example, if one day you want to enjoy something different. For example, today I want to eat Mexican food. It is not enough that you go to a restaurant and you just get a taco. It's just that you feel that you are in Mexico, and that is great. You see, that is great. If you can feel like if you were in that place, or if you can feel notice some elements from the culture, from different cultures, I think that is great. That is great, and that is something very valuable from my point.
So food doesn't give you culture, it's the ambiance that gives you culture. That's different. That's a different argument. How many of you agree with that? All right, good. Javier, I think you chose food, right?
Yes.
Come on up. So far, so good.
You know that our country has become very important because of the gastronomy. I've had the chance to live in New York for 15 years, and when I went to Peruvian restaurants there, well, the food was not as good as here, but the ambience was good, because they tried to make the restaurant very Peruvian, like with decoration and all those things. And I think I would put food in the first place. Second,
but I'm not too sure. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Yes. You spoke more about ambience than the food. Wait, hold on, man. I think we're in trouble here.
No.
Clarify, please.
I put food in the first place and ambience in the second place.
Okay.
Because you need a good environment to enjoy your food, right? You don't want to be in a small restaurant, like dark, like a bar or something like that. I wouldn't enjoy my food if I eat in a place.
So you just argued in favor of ambience. Hey! Ambience wins! All right, thank you, Javier. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody did a good job. Listen, so as you can see, if we look at the triangle, what are we promoting here? Output, kinesthetic. Why motivational?
Because we're talking about food.
We're talking about everybody loves food. Everybody has an experience with food. Okay, one of them is missing. Technology. Remember, 3 out of 4 is not bad. 3 out of 4 is not bad. It's pretty good. It's good. All right, we're nearing the end of our talk. We're getting close to the end. Let me see. I need 10 volunteers. Come right up here. I need 10 volunteers. We'll talk about music. Music, come on up. Music, music. Those of you who like music, come on up. Okay, we got, how many we have? We have 7. We need 3 more. Come on. What happened? Ronald, excellent. Yes. Umberto, Sebastian. We have 5. I need to know how to count. Yeah, okay. So I need 5 people in a circle facing outwards. You're facing outward. I need 5 people in the inner circle facing outwards. Okay, we got 2, 3, 4. One more? Okay, Charles? Now I want the rest of you to put yourselves in front of somebody like this. Okay? All right, over here. Somebody with Cindy? Nicholas? Oh, careful, guy. Careful, guy. You okay? Yeah? I want you to think about, I'm going to give you thinking time for about 30 seconds. Think about your favorite movie or your favorite song. Okay, think your favorite movie or your favorite song. What is it about? Why is it your favorite movie? Why is it your favorite song? Okay, so think about, what is it about? You got to tell the person what the song is about. Why is it your favorite song? Or it can be a movie. Okay? Let me slip over here. Now, the person in the inner circle will speak first. When I say stop, the person in the outer circle will speak. Okay? Are we ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
My favorite song is Friends of the Devil by the Grateful Dead. It's a song that's about running away from the police and maybe you're breaking up. It's a very good song. It uses a lot of traditional American sounds. Kind of like a country song.
Stop. Outer circle. Go. Stop. Person in the outer circle, move to your left. 1 space. Go to the next person on your left. Inner circle, begin again. Go.
My favorite song I chose is Friend of the Devil by the Grateful Dead. I like that song. It's about running away from the police. Maybe they're making I like the song also because it uses a lot of traditional music sounds, sticks and mandolin, also guitar, stick instruments, the bluegrass guitar. Yeah, it's fun to listen to songs about
Stop. Outer circle. Go. Oh, Nicholas, you stopped. I think you were going to sing. Stop. Very good. Go back to your places. Thank you. Good job. Now, Nicholas, he broke the rule. Yep. You stopped talking before I said stop. So you're going to tell us about your two partners. Tell us about their favorite song or their favorite. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you dance. Not at this time. We're at the end of the session. I'm not going to make you dance at this time. All right. Tell us about your two partners' favorite song or favorite movie.
Okay. Well, about my first partner was she. The song was Ella by Ricardo Arjona. And well, she loves the romantic music. And
why?
Well, because it puts her in a good mood. Really, she feels relaxed with that music.
Okay, you were paying attention. Good. What about your other partner?
Okay, Sebastian. His favorite movie was Rocky. Because well, he's my partner, and what I know about him is that.
No, wait a minute. What do you mean? What did you know about him? Didn't you get this from your interaction?
I don't know. Well, from the interaction is that Rocky, because well,
don't be too honest. You're going to get yourself into trouble now.
It's a guy from Philadelphia that, well, a poor guy from Philadelphia that wanted to become a great boxing guy, and well, he loves that.
Why? Why is it his favorite movie?
Oh, because he loves the contact sports.
Yeah, but that's not just contact sports. That's Rocky. There must be something else. He must have told you something. It's Rocky Balboa.
It's
Apollo Creed, Rocky Balboa. He wasn't inspired by the fight with Apollo Creed?
No, yes, because it's a story of a guy that wants to become the better boxer. I don't know.
Yeah, is that what you said? Yeah, he's your friend, right? Okay. Okay. All right. Good. So again, we want our students to report. You got to get them to pay attention. You got to pay attention. All right. And you can't hook them up with their friends, because then the friends, they're going to know the friend and say, oh yeah, I know why. Yeah. Okay. You got to get it from the interaction. All right. So again, we've got a lot of different classroom interaction techniques. We saw student-to-student questions, comprehension checks to make sure that students understand what they're supposed to do, okay? And I think we saw the comprehension check with the first session when we did the instructions. Remember, I did the instructions, listen to the conversation, look at the pictures, match the pictures with the day of the week, yeah? All right? Paraphrasing, reporting, summarizing, try to find different ways to get your students to speak, all right? The higher the level, the more they must produce. Don't satisfy yourself with these simple phrases, these short little sentences. Get them to elaborate. Give me 3 or 4 reasons why we need to worry about the environment. Okay? Why is it important? Why should we care about global warming and the environment? Give me 4 reasons. I want to know. If you say, why is global warming, the whole issue of global warming important? They're going to give you a sentence if you give them a chance. All right? So you have to get them to produce as much as possible. All right, so student-to-student questions we saw. Okay, this is what you have in your handout. When we think about what our students produce, we should think about the types of different output that they can produce. So, they're going to respond to questions, so they're going to produce a response. They're going to give examples. Okay, so give me an example. Somebody give me an example of a good Chinese restaurant in Lima? Somebody give me a good example and why it's a good example of a Chinese restaurant in Lima? Isa.
I don't remember its name. There's one in Barranco. It's really good. It has the traditional curtains and everything. I don't remember the name.
Do you know where it is?
If I'm in the street, yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. You want people to give you an example, right? Examples of different things, how people date in Peru, types of restaurants, whatever, to give you an example from personal experience. Now, you named this place in Barranco because you've been there, right? So you want them to speak from personal experience. Explanations. Give you explanations for things. I don't understand. Can you explain it to me? What does that mean? So let the student explain things to you. Not just describe, not just respond to simple questions. Summarizing, paraphrasing, reporting. These are the things we need to get our students to do in class as much as possible. Now you also have to have a clear idea of how much they're going to produce in relation to the level. Because remember, they're different. You're not going to have somebody in a basic 6 give you a monologue for 2 minutes. Okay? So you have to have a clear idea of what type of language they can produce according to the level. Meta-language. What is meta-language? Who can explain it to me without reading? Good. Language to talk about language. So the students are describing the grammar. The students are describing the pronunciation feature, what have you. Okay? So they're helping you sometimes explain the grammar. And classroom language. What is classroom language? Isa? Can you explain that again? Hey, Nicholas, what do you have for number 1? I don't have that answer. How did you get that? Stuff like that. Can I go to the restroom? All right. Can I go to the bathroom? And then it says, may I please go to the restroom on the 2nd floor? No, whatever. You know what I mean. Okay. So the classroom language gains in complexity over time. Yeah. We want the students to say more and to use more complex language as they go higher and higher in the course and in the program. And of course, we want students to ask questions. We always have them respond to questions. We always have to have them explain whatever, do all these things to speak. But we don't have them practice asking questions. If you really think about it, if you look at the course books, they don't really talk about practicing questions. They give you questions to practice, but they don't get students to think of their own questions. We need to get our students to practice asking questions, making questions, formulating questions. Okay? Okay, so, I mean, we've seen most of this. And stretching, by the way, again, stretching means looking at the course book activity and making the most of it, expanding beyond what you see on the page. What can I do with this activity? How can I extend it? How can I get students to speak more? Not just what's on there. Let me take it beyond. Do you remember the pronunciation activity with the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? And we had you guys write up the examples, the sentences. That's an example of stretching where you have a combination of speaking and writing. It's a pronunciation activity. All they have to do is listen, repeat, practice, and you move on. But you decided to take it beyond that. What else can I do with this activity? How can I get my students to speak more? Think, plan, strategize. Okay? So stretching is important. And of course, creative and critical thinking. A lot of times we make the mistake of answering very basic elementary questions. So a basic elementary question, for example, the 80s generation. I'm an 80s generation guy, okay? So what can you tell me about the 80s? Think about it for a minute. So knowledge, which is the lowest level of thinking, is restating a fact. Name 3 important events that happened in the 1980s. So we're just restating a fact that we know. Comprehension, describe to me what music in the 80s was like. Okay? If we go to analysis, why would somebody create this sticker in the first place? Compare the 80s with the present. Was the music then better? Why or why not? Describe something that could have happened differently in the 1980s. How could it have changed the history of Peru? Now you're thinking really high level, okay? You're putting yourself in a hypothetical situation that never happened before, so it's abstract. So you see how it goes from very simple to higher and higher? Okay, application is missing from there for some strange reason, but okay. Anyway, so to finish, conclusion. Apply the QLO Dynamics framework for consistent results. Lesson planning is queen or king, depending on your point of view. Stretch your activities whenever possible. Get your students to speak. Record yourself with your cell phones. Again, I've said this before. I'm going to say it over and over again. You're going to get tired of it. Record yourself. Listen to yourself late at night. Who's doing most of the talking? You or your students? If you're the one who's doing most of the talking, why is that so? Okay? All right? And never underestimate your students. Sometimes we say to ourselves, oh, but they can't do that. That's too much to ask. They're not at the right level, etc. And of course, we never want to say, oh, these students I got this month, I got them for the first time today. They're terrible. Terrible. Oh, these students, what am I going to do with these people? There's no hope. Of course there's hope. It's up to you. It's up to you. You have to make sure that you do everything you can to help these students learn and to get them to speak. Now, if you did everything you could, then you can have your peace of mind because you did everything you could. You said, hey, okay, I gave it a shot. Now, the first day, the second day, it's too soon to arrive at a conclusion like that. To generalize that they're all terrible. Okay, if you're doing that, you're not doing your job right. Okay, if it's the first day of class and say, oh, whew, these people, I can't save any of them. Maybe one. Everybody else is going to fail. I've heard this before. It might sound incredible. I've heard it before. You can't do that. You got to believe in you. I mean, would you like somebody to give up on you on the first day?
Yes.
To listen to you and say, oh, Christine, oh man, Christine? Oh, forget it. Vladimir? No way. Mornay? I might as well just fail them now. I mean, there's no hope. No, we wouldn't want them to give up on us, so why are we going to give up on our students? Right? We got to do everything we can. All right, and students need to feel supported. Motivation is the key to success. Any final comments, questions? Good job? Oh, wait. I almost forgot. You will have the opportunity to take, now we're pursuing an international accreditation with equals. Now, I've been looking at all the standards. They're very challenging. Okay, we have to make sure that all of our teachers comply with the standards. Okay, so that means obviously your language proficiency, that it requires your participation in professional development. You've gotten your first readings, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, you got to read those readings. We have to prove that you know the basic essentials of how people learn. Okay, a second language. So that means that you're going to be required to read. We're going to have a formative assessment in May. Okay. We're going to start talking a little bit more about professional goals for the year. Not too demanding, don't worry, I don't want to scare you. But we do have to comply with some standards. You will be allowed, you will be given the opportunity to study online in a course at no cost with an international certification. This is part of our effort to get teachers to meet the standards. And at some point you're going to have to demonstrate that you meet different standards. We're going to have to kind of like, I have to work it out with the team, but we're going to have to record segments of your classes and upload it to a profile. So when the guys come from London, or even from London, they can access the database and they can say, hey, this guy Charles, he's really good. Look how he does the classroom management. He's really great. Look at another Charles. Charles, with the L2 output that they talk so much about, he's doing a great job. Look at all those students, how they speak. And Fernanda, look, with her corrective feedback. She knows how to apply the corrective feedback strategies. So we have like a checklist. They say, hey, you want to see our teachers? Here they are. Boom. You want to see if they can do a good job in class? It's the video profile. It's a digital profile they have online. So it's a lot of work. So bear with me. I ask for your patience. But we're going to work together. And by the time this is all done, everybody's going to win. Thank you very much. I'll let you know.